much. Please skip this one, and I will catch you next time for another video. Okay? Thank you. I love you. I will see you soon. Now, get to the video. Hey guys, welcome back to GeekWares ASMR for another true crime video. I'm looking like super awkward here. I don't know why. Anyway, I have had a crap ton of time to sit around and research cases because after my last Patreon video, I fell down the stairs and broke both of my feet. Both of them. I couldn't just do one, y'all. No. Your girl Shannon here is an overachiever. So I have several broken bones in each foot. Luckily, I don't have any casts or anything, but I've been trying to stay off of them as much as possible. But yeah, so that's super fun. It's not as painful as you would imagine, but it's still annoying. So anyway, in all of that, I have found yet another solved case. I told you I was on a roll for you, and this case, I watched I can't remember if it was a documentary or a YouTube video on it, and sometimes I get super emotional watching those. Do you guys do that? I'm gonna try not to ramble too much, but like hearing the parents or the friends or whatever, as opposed to reading these articles, definitely affects me like a lot more than regular. I don't know. Is that dumb? Anyway, we're gonna talk about Ashley Wadsworth and her murder tonight. So let me just open my document here, my notes. At 12 years old, Ashley did not yet have a smartphone. She didn't need one. Her mother figured she had a close-knit community of family and friends in Vernon, a small city in British Columbia's Okanagan. I'm sure I said that wrong, Valley. But she did use the family laptop in order to see what her friends were posting on social media. And among her peers, it wasn't seen as bold to just add friends of a friend, you know, like kids do on Snapchat these days. You see someone and you just add them and you start chatting. Or to send a cute stranger a message to say hi. Ashley and her friends mingled confidently online the way previous generations, i.e. myself, might have at the mall on a Friday night. And that's how, in 2015, Ashley became Facebook friends with a 16-year-old English teenager named Jack Seppel. After spotting him on a mutual acquaintances page, Ashley had always been curious about the world. She wanted to see more than what she had, and Jack offered a window into faraway places, even if that place was only Chelmsford, a city of about 180,000 people in Essex, an hour northeast of London. Ashley was bright and gregarious. She played ringette, tennis, and the clarinet. At school, she went out of her way to befriend the international students, knowing that they might feel lonely so far from home. Jack, by contrast, was withdrawn. He did not have a thriving social life, and his biggest hobby seemed to be social media. But Ashley really liked his scrappy charm. Their 3.5-year age gap was mitigated by distance and the fact that Jack also lived at home with his family. It is raining pretty hard here, so I hope that's not distracting. At first, the two of them were more like pen pals. They were confidants whose daily exchanges refreshed the scenery of their everyday lives, you know? Within a few months, Ashley began mentioning Jack to her mother, Christy, as well as her sister Haylee, and her father Kenneth, who relationship, but she felt more comfortable after Jack had sent photos of himself. They seemed to prove that he was who he said he was, a bored teenager, like many of his generation who socialized largely online. I had a friend in high school, much like this, who lived in England, and I talked with him all the time, so I totally get this. Christy thought that her daughter's interest would fade, but their connection grew from just being confidants to being crushes. Jack started to send Ashley gifts, clothing, money, stuffed animals, jewelry, a purse. They were on and off in their relationship with periods of no communication whatsoever. But when they were on, Jack's presence in Ashley's life was like a regular thing. They reminded me of Brandon and Mary off 90 Day Fiancé. Christy said she would look up from cooking and just see him on the screen, sort of observing the room and watching, even though they weren't talking, and I don't know, I find that super weird. She said she would offer a very warm hi, Jack. Now, the two of them had an 8-hour time difference. Ashley would wake up before dawn to speak with him, and he would stay up late into the night on his end. Her good friend Tiana said she just had this connection with him that nobody understood. Their long conversations centered on the same daydream, that one day they could finally meet. In 2018, Ashley started asking her mother if she could visit Jack. And the answer, of course, was no. At the time, she was only 15. Now, as in any teenage entanglement, the pair did occasionally have fights, usually about one thing. Jack was afraid that Ashley would have crushes on the boys that she could actually be with. And this conflict escalated to the point where Ashley would block him online. And in return, he would create new accounts in order to reach her, or send angry messages to her sister and friends, knowing he could get her attention that way. To some of Ashley's friends, Jack's adoration looked a lot like possession. Ashley insisted that he was simply just a passionate person and that he had a good heart. In October of 2018, when Jack is 20 and Ashley is 16, he revealed to her a new addition to his tattoo collection. He had tattooed Ashley's name, just her first name, on his arm in an elaborate cursive script, an emblem of his devotion. Christy thought that this was pretty extreme, and she told her daughter that she was not allowed to reciprocate with her own Jack tattoo. "Mom," she responded, "I would never." As infatuated as she'd become, Ashley still had a fun and busy life offline. She loved to camp and hike with her friends. She loved to go on muddy off-roading adventures with Tiana. On Snapchat, she posted videos with funny filters, like a halo of hearts over her head as she bobbed along to the radio in the car. In another that was recorded when she was 15, she sings the song Hallelujah, zooming in and out on her blue eyes and long eyelashes. To fundraise for their high school graduation, she and Tiana sold raffle tickets at local grocery stores, selling out of every last one. And photos from the June 2020 ceremony show Ashley and her family smiling with balloons and a bouquet of flowers in her arms. At the same time, her relationship with Jack was becoming more and more tumultuous. She began to hide aspects of it from her mother, though not totally from her friends. In 2018, Jack had drug a knife across the tattoo of her name. Enraged during one of their fights, Tiana said Ashley thought it was messed up, it was his deranged way of showing his love for her. And although Jack was intensely jealous at the idea of Ashley seeing boys in Vernon, he was still dating women in Chelmsford. When Ashley was 18 in 2020, she began receiving calls from some of these women while they had fights with Jack. These women hoped that she, as his favorite person, would calm him down or convince him to get back with these women, that is so bizarre. I cannot. Once, while she was out with Tiana, Ashley got a call from a woman saying that Jack would not let her leave his house. And Tiana remembered that it was almost like Ashley had seen all of this happen before. It seemed like it was a regular thing, and Ashley just told him to stop acting crazy. Looking back, you might question why Ashley did not cut her ties then. But Jack was a skilled manipulator, and she wanted to be in love. As a teenage girl, she didn't see his behavior as abusive. Problematic, yes, but without a vocabulary for abuse, there's no real framework of explanation. Tiana often told Ashley to just get rid of him, but they always reconciled. His apologies seemed heartfelt, and they agreed that things would be perfect when the two of them could just be in the same place. He would apologize or use gifts as a way to lure her back, and it worked. As soon as she was old enough, Ashley got as many hours at part-time jobs as she could. McDonald's, Burger King, a Chinese restaurant, Home Depot, a clothing store. One of her first purchases was an iPad of her own, which freed up the household laptop. In 2020, she deferred her enrollment to Thompson Rivers University. Because of the pandemic, courses were still being held on Zoom, but she really craved a campus community. It was also the perfect opportunity to travel to England. She'd graduated, she had money in the bank, and she couldn't be stopped by her parents' stern reminders that she was a child. She was an adult now, and she could do what she wanted. She was granted a 6-month tourist visa, and on November 12th of 2021, at the age of 19, said goodbye to her family and flew to London, her first time traveling alone. From her airplane seat, she posted a Snapchat, blowing her loved ones a kiss. "I'm in my plane," she said, excitedly inventorying the amenities on her first transatlantic flight. "It's huge." The next day, the pair were finally together. Ashley changed her Facebook picture to a shot of her and Jack cheek to cheek at the arrivals area at the London Gatwick Airport. Alongside Jack, Ashley's innocent appearance was striking. He's very tough-looking, heavily tattooed, with bloated eyes and surly demeanor. She struck like a demure contrast with soft brown hair and a floral pattern mask pulled below her chin. Her friends and family left hearts and smiley face emojis in the comments. After so many years of pining, Ashley finally seemed content. For a moment, it appeared that a sweet love story, a rare romantic risk, paid off. Ashley moved into Jack's house, a row house in a public housing complex in northwest Chelmsford, where he'd lived since 2020. The neighborhood itself has a rough reputation, but they explored Chelmsford's more genteel districts, and Ashley posted Facebook photos of their travels. In one, they're hugging outside a church, autumn leaves strewn around the ground, grinning so hard it makes their cheeks rounder. They got a kitten, they named it Winston, and when Ashley FaceTimed her family back home, she just beamed. And Jack seemed cheerful too. In many ways, he was the man that she'd known him to be all those years online. He could be loving and warm, showering her with compliments, and never saying no to a sentimental selfie. But he could also be volatile, with a vicious temper. spent all day, every day together. On a tourist visa, Ashley couldn't work, and Jack was unemployed, collecting social assistance and sometimes being supported by his mother, Tracy, who lived nearby. He was close with her and his sister Nadia, but he saw a few other people. His father had passed away in 2019, and he was estranged from his brother, Jordan. He seemed to really have no friends or social life, and suddenly, neither did Ashley. Within weeks, her world shrank further and further as Jack stopped wanting to go for walks, opting instead to stay inside, smoke weed, and play on his Xbox. It was a dramatic departure from Ashley's vibrant life at home. In Chelmsford, Jack didn't even like Ashley chatting with their neighbors. In her late teens, still in British Columbia, Ashley had become interested in religion. She chose to be baptized into the local Mormon church. Her family wasn't particularly religious, and Ashley's flirtations with faith, though she was never devout, seemed kind of an example of a restless, youthful soul-searching. Our friend Tiana said that she read the Book of Mormon front to back, and something just clicked inside of her. Before she had left Canada, a friend from church connected Ashley with some American missionaries around her age who would be in Chelmsford at the same time. When she arrived, she told Jack that she wanted to make plans with them, but he did not approve, and he would not let her attend Sunday services. But Ashley was getting lonely and bored, so despite their proximity, she developed a friendship with the missionaries through text messages. To keep Jack from finding out, she got in the habit of deleting her WhatsApp history, knowing that he spied on her phone. Her new friends could tell that he was controlling. One of them remembers saying, "Ashley, don't you think you deserve better than that?" when he forbade her from joining them on a road trip. And she was like, "Oh, I know I do. I just want to make him happy." Another says that in hindsight, there was definitely more going on than Ashley was telling us. And unfortunately, that included physical violence. On Boxing Day, 6 short weeks after Ashley arrived, Jack had texted his mother saying he had smacked Ashley because he found out she'd blocked 2 British numbers on her phone years ago. He assumed that the numbers belonged to other men. "That's no reason to lay a hand on her," Tracy texted back. Jack's psychological problems were more deep-seated than Ashley had known. She'd been aware of his history of self-harm when he got angry or wanted his girlfriends to console him. He would knife himself. I don't want to say it. I should have put a trigger warning on this. Maybe I'll have Sean do that. Deeply enough to bleed, but never enough to seriously injure. He also regularly took anti-anxiety medicine. Ashley felt compelled to stick by his side. The day after Boxing Day, she changed her Facebook picture to a photo of Jack with his arm around her, both of them smiling, and she captioned it "My bestie" with a red heart. Around the same time, she began keeping a secret Snapchat folder to document her bruises. Ashley didn't hide the abuse from her sister, but threatened to cut off all communication with Haylee if she told their mom, because she didn't want her family to hate him. In late December of 2021, Jack attempted to unalive himself, swallowing a stockpile of his anti-anxiety medicine. Ashley called for an ambulance, and he was rushed to the hospital, where he was treated for the overdose. She was appointed his caregiver. She was entrusted to administering his medications safely. A nurse had given her a lockbox in which to store the pills. Ashley did not tell her mom or her friends, but Haylee let it slip. Christy was of course worried about her daughter and said that Ashley should come home. And Ashley insisted that Jack would get better. In early January, Jack smashed a beer mug over Ashley's head. She FaceTimed her sister crying as Jack made her clean it up ago. She prayed that time or medicine or even her own love would heal him. And Jack seemed to have some understanding of the cycle he trapped Ashley in, accusing her of disloyalty, assaulting her, apologizing, and repeating it over and over and over. She's the only person I've truly loved, he told his mother. But I'm ruining it, and it's killing me inside. On January 29th, he texted his mom to say that Ashley should go home. Running away is not the answer, replied Tracy. Relationships are hard work. It takes effort, patience, and love to stay together. But she did add, if you want her to go, I understand. On January 30th, Ashley changed her Facebook photo to a shot of her and Jack smiling on a sunny day. That evening, Jack wrote to his sister, I'm obsessed with Ashley's past. On the morning of February 1st, Jack was angry again. He was convinced that Ashley had been sneaking around on him, despite his close watch of her basically every move. He'd gone through the contents of her phone, and just before 8 a.m., the couple's next-door neighbor, Helen, heard Ashley's screams through their shared wall. Moments later, Ashley appeared at her door, barefoot, and when the older woman opened it, she saw Ashley crying, blood dripping from a cut on her palm. She said that Jack had hit her and destroyed her phone. He had thrown their kitten Winston against the wall, and she worried that he was going to go even further. She asked Helen not to call the police, possibly fearing that he might hurt himself if things escalated, or that he'd be sent to jail. Helen agreed, but asked Ashley to come along to a medical appointment she had that morning, rather than go back home to Jack. Ashley declined, so Helen went next door herself alone to reason with Jack. He apologized, and she left for her appointment. Around 9 a.m., another neighbor, Lucy, brought Jack a package that was delivered mistakenly to her address. Jack would not fully open the door, and Lucy didn't think much of it. She knew him to be a brooding, unfriendly young man who seemed kind of paranoid. Around that time, Ashley used Jack's phone to call her family in Vernon, where it was midnight. She wanted to come home, and Christy was finally in the know because Haylee had broken down and told her, and Christy is terrified. Then and there, the Wadsworths booked a flight leaving in 2 days to bring Ashley home from London. Jack agreed to take her for the pre-flight COVID test and then to the airport. Christy told her daughter to leave and go immediately to the airport if Jack exploded again, and told Jack that she would call the cops if he hurt Ashley any further. Haylee messaged Jack's mother, who said she couldn't help because she was at the airport herself. She told Haylee that as soon as Ashley leaves, he's going to unalive himself. When Ashley and her family disconnected for the last time, it was around 3 a.m. in Vernon. In Chelmsford, 11 a.m. Christy now believes that this is when Jack decided to kill her daughter. Minutes later, he messages mother on WhatsApp. I beat up Ashley really bad. Tracy responded, is she hurt? Jack, why? 14 minutes later, he replied, she thinks she broke her arm. I picked her up and threw her on the ground. I punched her and ripped her all around the lounge. According to phone records, Tracy did not respond. From 11:22 a.m. to 12:38 p.m., Ashley sent panicked messages using Jack's phone to family and friends in Vernon, where it's the middle of the night, as well as to one of her church acquaintances in Chelmsford. It's Ashley, she wrote. I need your help. It's an emergency. Please. She sent similar messages to others, including Jamie, a 20-year-old Mormon who was in Chelmsford on a missionary trip, but no one received them until hours later. At some point between 12:38 and 12:45 p.m., Jack strangled Ashley. He then went to the kitchen. He selected an 11-centimeter knife and returned to the bedroom. least 90 times in the chest and abdomen. When Ashley's family woke up in Vernon, they saw the barrage of messages that pinged their phones and scrambled to make contact. They called Jamie and asked her to go to the house, which she did, with another friend and 2 men from church, hoping to move Ashley to a safe location. There was no answer. They called the police and left. In Vernon, Tiana could see that someone was active on the Facebook account that Ashley had used to message her. It was Jack, pretending to be Ashley, messaging some of her other friends, saying she'd simply wanted help finding a COVID test and no longer needed any assistance. Tiana kept messaging, desperate for a response, but Jack went about his day, ignoring her, as he did the Wadsworth's messages as well. Investigators later found blood on an Xbox controller, which indicated he played video games during this time. Later that day, he changed his Facebook picture to a photo of himself and Ashley at Gatwick months earlier. He captioned it, "Forever Mine." In the bedroom, he recorded a video message that was never sent to Ashley's sister. Breathing heavily, with Ashley's body visible in the frame, he said that he loved her, and he was sorry. He said, "I could never let you leave. My head was effed. I'm so sorry, Haylee, for taking your sister." After recording the video, he made small, superficial stab wounds on his own chest, which prosecutors believe may have been intended to lay the groundwork for a self-defense claim. Jack's final communication before the police arrived was with his sister. They video chatted around 4 p.m., and he said, "Nadia, I've killed Ashley." And then he pointed the phone camera at Ashley's body. The call ended then when 2 police officers, summoned by Jamie's call 10 minutes prior, burst through Jack's front door. The officers who attended the scene described Jack as calm. After the murder, he was remanded to Clemsford Prison. At some point, he scrawled a chaotic and non-linear statement on the front and back of a list of facility rules, claiming he was high during the murder. It also read in part that he had, quote, "stabbed the life out of her to prove I own her," end quote. When he was arrested, he had told the police that he had gone psychotic. Despite these claims, toxicology reports found only cannabis and a therapeutic dose of his anti-anxiety medication in his system. A psychiatrist's assessment determined him fit to plead and stand trial. In September of 2022, with the evidence, including his video-recorded confession, overwhelmingly stacked against him, he entered a guilty plea. A sentencing hearing was scheduled for October. Until the sentencing, Christy and Tracy, Jack's mom, kept in touch. Ashley's mother knew that Tracy, too, was experiencing her own form of grief, grappling with the weight of her son's crime, and she had been kind to their daughter, telling her over video chat that she couldn't wait for her to arrive in Clemsford, that she'd gotten her robes, slippers, and a teacup. The pair had planned to meet in person when the Wadsworths arrived in Clemsford for the sentencing hearing. That changed on October 10th, 2022, at Clemsford Crown Court, packed with journalists and observers. The Wadsworths listened in stunned silence as prosecuting counsel Simon Spence read aloud Jack's years-long criminal background. A relentless roll call of violence, controlling behavior, harassment, terrifying outbursts dating back to his youth. In 2014, when he was only 15, he met a 14-year-old girl online. He took nude photos of this girl without her permission, and when she broke up with him, he hacked into her Facebook account and posted all of these images for everyone to see. She filed a restraining order, and a month later, he breached it by requesting to follow her on Instagram. That same year, he got into an argument with his mother about his Xbox, and he shoved her to the floor also tried reaching her through her friends. The following January, he sent her a message that read, "Please reply. You are never going to get rid of me, even if I have to go to prison over you. I will see you soon, and I will turn up wherever you live." In July of 2018, his mother called an ambulance after he had sliced his arm. Angry at her for involving the paramedics, he again damaged a door in her home. He was sentenced to 8 weeks in a young offender institution, and a restraining order was filed by the court on his mother's behalf. That September, there was another breach of the restraining order. He made a new Instagram account to contact the prior victim after she'd blocked him, which resulted in a detention sentence. The following month, he pled guilty to trying to break into a supported living facility and received a 21-day sentence. Oh, but I'm not done. In March of 2020, Jack met a woman on Facebook. They moved in together quickly, but she eventually found him to be jealous and unpredictable. Hello? When she tried to break up with him, he put his hand around her throat and locked her inside the house. After she escaped through a window, he bombarded her with messages and phone calls. She did not press charges. Months prior, he had locked yet a different woman inside of his home, and for that he was charged with false imprisonment, common assault, coercive or controlling behavior. Because the victim did not attend the trial hearing to provide evidence, he could not be convicted. But a non-conviction restraining order was filed, bringing his total number of restraining orders, if you lost count, to 3. While the courts and police had ample evidence of his violent criminal past, there was still more. An ex-girlfriend shared a photo that Jack had sent her around 2018, in which he is holding a knife to his own throat, blood dripping from a cut that he himself had made. And in an accompanying text message, it read, "I am sad." During their relationship, this woman says Jack openly wondered what it would be like to kill someone. "He could be lovely," she said, "but he smashed 2 of her phones and once threatened her with a knife." One of Jack's former middle school classmates said he was often in trouble for throwing tables and being generally aggressive. Another former classmate who attended elementary school with Jack recalls him as funny and boisterous, but with a dark side that was evident even as a child. He had a lot of love to give, but he was very quick to snap or lose his head. Once, when the friend beat Jack in a video game, he ran to the kitchen and began slicing. His mother had to wrestle the knife from him. The pair drifted apart when Jack attended CSS Haybridge, a school for at-risk students who have difficulty in conventional schools. A former teacher recalls that Jack was intimidating, especially with the female staff members, but he could be charming, too. Jack was sentenced to life in prison, and he must wait 23.5 years to be considered for parole. Through lawyers, he delivered an apology note to Ashley's family, which read in part, "It's no excuse, but I know my intrusive thoughts have a big effect on my thinking and actions." Ashley's mother says even his apology was manipulative. Her father read it and then let his copy fall from his hands and left it on the courtroom table. With sentencing in the rear view, the Wadsworths can't stop replaying visions and what-ifs in their minds. What if they or their daughter had known the extent of Jack's history? In a note to the Wadsworth family sent after the murder, Jack's estranged brother described him as a sick, twisted, evil individual. Christy doesn't blame Jack's family, but does question why they protected him by way of their silence. "She did not take the knife and kill Ashley," says Christy of Jack's mother Tracy. "I know that. I don't think she thought he would do it either. But if your child has mental health issues and they attempt to unalive themselves and show signs of violence in their relationship, intervene. It is a lesson I have to live with every single day." Ashley's father asks the even more direct was not without warning signs, some of them glaring even to Ashley. In March of 2021, 8 months before Ashley left home, Jack sent her a 26-second voice message, furious because he knew Tiana had been saying she didn't like him. In the clip, he sounds unhinged. Amid a stream of horrifying, guttural yowls, he says, "I'm going to effing murder her." And Ashley still went to Glimsford. A few days before Ashley was killed, she snuck out while Jack wasn't at home and met Jamie and another friend in Melbourne Park, about a 10-minute walk away. It was a quiet early afternoon. They sat at a picnic table, pausing their conversation to pet a dog being walked by the only people who passed by. Jamie sensed something was wrong and picked a scripture to read. "Wherefore ye must press forward with a steadfastness in Christ, having a perfect brightness of hope and a love of God and all men." For 7 years, Ashley looked at Jack's face intently through computer screens and smartphones. At the airport when they finally met, every day of their short cohabitation, and in the last moments of her life. Under his right eye for some of that time was a tattoo. Hope, in cursive writing, the holy premise she clung to, staring back at her, as though a sign that that perfect brightness would come. After the sentencing, the Wadsworths went to the row house where their daughter had lived with Jack. They looked in the windows. They laid bouquets on the ground near where she had been carried to the lawn on the day that she died. They planted a garden at the site, leaving vibrant bursts to bloom against the abominable memories. As soon as Christy returned to Vernon, she went to Ashley's grave with Haylee. They brought Haley's young daughter along, who took her new double-decker bus toy, that's hard to say, and excitedly set it up for her aunt to see. Haylee says that her sister sends her signs from heaven. Sometimes she looks in the mirror and sees her. Doors in the family's home seem to open and close on their own. Lights turn on and off by themselves, and family members keep finding white, fluffy feathers around their property. Birds visit, and dragonflies. Last August, Tiana got married, and Haylee stood in for her sister as a bridesmaid. And as the sun set, a butterfly landed on the flowers. Unquestionably, Haylee says it was Ashley. I believe she's there. And after this life, we get to spend forever with her. My camera froze. Doesn't matter. I just want to say that if you are a victim of domestic violence, there are many, many ways for you to escape. If you need to talk, I am here. You can email me at any time. My email is in the description box down below. Having been a victim of domestic violence myself, I will gladly help you in any way, shape, or form that I can. I think that this is a terrible, terrible case, and it goes to show that no matter how much you talk to someone, no matter how much you think you know someone, you just never really do. Do I think that this could have been prevented? I don't really know. I think that if it wasn't Ashley, it would have been someone else, because it would appear that Jack was not getting the treatment that he needed in order to be okay. And I think that it is just a terrible, terrible case all around in every single aspect. I'm not sure when my camera froze, so I will have Sean put some pictures in this video of Ashley and Jack. I'm getting really frustrated with my camera freezing all the time. It's quite annoying. Right now I'm making the dumbest face, so that's awesome. I am going to go back and put a trigger warning on this video, so when you hear me mention that maybe I should have put a trigger, I'm going to film that right now to add to this video. Once again, thank you guys so much for